I'm here with Crypto Michael. Crypto Michael, you may know him on Twitter. He's a full-time trader from the Amsterdam Stock Exchange, a technical analyst, a coach, a student of economics in Amsterdam. He loves poker and fitness. And if you didn't know, he actually writes for the Coin Telegraph as well. He has a YouTube channel, Crypto Michael. I'll leave a link in the description below. And he's a really well-followed crypto trader, and I'd say quite highly respected. He's got 57,000 followers. I don't think he's bought them. He seems to have earned them. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. That's quite an introduction.
Yeah, well, it's all there for people to see. I brought you onto the show, Michael, to recently I decided trading was not for me, right? I was a really bad trader. I didn't come in with any kind of plan. I didn't come in with... I entered the market. It was like a soldier going into war without a gun and without a leader and without any kind of training. And I think that's what a lot of traders do. They come into the market and they haven't got a fucking clue what they're getting into, right? Mm-hmm. And there is this statistic that is going around online that in the first year, between 97% and 99% of traders lose money over the year. Now that might be right, might be wrong, but let's just go with that figure. I wanted to ask you, how can you not be one of the 97 to 99% who lose money in the markets? What's your opinion on that?
I think it's basically the reason why I've started using Twitter and started my Twitter account and recently my YouTube account is that if you are a new trader, you come onto social media and the only bullshit stuff you see on YouTube is that Bitcoin goes to 100K or like tweets that cause more engagement. So as a new trader, you have lack of knowledge, which goes through having more experience, gaining more experience. But there's also a big portion of misinformation, which is caused by people who also don't know how to trade, but have a following because they have clickbait titles or whatever. So it's coming down to two things, which is lack of knowledge. As you come into a war, you don't have a gun. Well, if you're trading and you know you don't have any trading experience, you simply don't know what you're doing, and you will be buying the pumps. I mean, the emotions come into play, and just misinformation through social media, which you can see on like every topic in the world. So
that's interesting. Yeah. Do you know? You talk about knowledge, right? I trained in construction. I have a trade. Yeah, I have a business actually, but I have a trade. I had to learn from somebody how to do that. So you could have called it a mentor, but I started at the bottom and I had to work my way up. And I guess, not that I'm saying people want something for nothing. Do you think that you need to earn your stripes in order to, do you need a mentor? I guess is the question.
Like every rookie makes the same mistake. So if you get a mentor in your early stages, these rookie mistakes, he will say certain stuff that you don't make these mistakes. Otherwise, everyone will. And then the question becomes, do you stop or do you continue and evaluate what you've been doing wrong? So a mentor is something you should get in the beginning as you're completely out of knowledge. However, it's depending on what type of mentor you get. Is it somebody who is going to explain to you why he's taking the trades and how does it look like, and just going through the charts, going through his psychology, going through the background of the trade, rather than providing you the trade and you can just follow him because you don't learn anything. So it's all depending on which mentor you get and where do you get it. As everybody will make the same mistakes in the beginning. I've made them as well. I've bought Ripple because it was cheap. Like, yeah. So I guess it's coming down to that.
That one.
Yeah, like Digibyte and Verge and all these type of stuff. I bought them because they were
Okay.
cheap.
But I mean, look, it says here, it's in your bio, you're a full-time trader from the Amsterdam Stock Exchange. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because look, you've had to go to school. If you're working at the stock exchange, you've had to go to school in some way. You've had to learn. You can't just walk in and just do what you want. Tell us a little bit about your education.
Well, I'm an economics student, which means that I understand markets to a certain degree. But the fun part is that I got to the stock exchange when I started my Twitter account, and they saw my content and they actually invited me because of that, because of the knowledge you get through, or the knowledge that I'm sharing through Twitter. And it's a little bit different than in the States, where you actually have to be with a company to get on the exchange. Over here, it's still a fashion name of the stock exchange, while it's just an office. Like there are just all trading companies over here, but the limits is not that high as there is in the United States. So, um, but that doesn't matter really much if I can trade or not. It's all based because of my Twitter content and what I was writing there and how my trades were, rather than going through a school or like being an economics student. All the people, or like the majority of the people over there, didn't have any study.
Right, right,
They
I get it.
started in the 90s.
Okay. So you spoke there a little bit about there's kind of the traders who are successful on Twitter. You can probably tell who they are. You can probably see who they are. And then there's the others who just have clickbait and misinfo. Why why do you think so many people are tricked by these clickbait? And how do they do it? How do they trick the unsuspecting into following them, getting into their paid groups? What's can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, if you want to become bigger as an audience, you will have that as well with your YouTube channel. Is you have to be good in marketing to a certain degree. So the content that I'm producing is pretty much boring for the majority, and they rather follow someone who's telling them that Bitcoin goes to 100K over and over and over again. That's just clickbait. Um, so providing good quality content will take a long time until you get to the level that they are, because they can get there faster through marketing. And the whole problem is that they use the clickbait titles to sell their ref links rather than they provide content on trading. And usually these ref links are for leverage trading platforms, so they make money off the people who sign up through them, as the majority just goes wrecked.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a balance between marketing and having good quality content. And at some point, you've got the flipping point in which the quality content just sells itself rather than you're selling some clickbait titles.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you know, you mentioned there about leverage. Now, that I'm not the only person who got into trouble with leverage. I had one of my best friends, right? He had, he got in and he said to me, listen, I'm telling you right now, I'm only going to do 3 times leverage. And he was really, this guy's really conservative and he stuck at it, but it went to 5. Then it went to 10. Then before I knew it, he told me he was in like a 30x leverage trade and he was cheering, going, you can't believe it, I'm making so much money. Then I phoned him 2 weeks later, he'd lost it. Then he was doing 90x.
Yeah.
And, you
It's
know,
it,
I used to have a look. You walk in, it's a bit like Vegas. Once you walk in through the doors, it's your responsibility. But I feel there's part of me now that I want to just at least put out a little bit of a warning out there. Be careful of walking into these exchanges and just be careful, because you can lose so much money so bloody quickly if you don't know what you're doing. What's your views on leverage?
well, I'm one of the few that actually hates all these exchanges, as the market doesn't need leverage. So the problem with these leverage trading platforms is that they target retail traders who actually have no clue what they are doing. The only people who are using leverage are the professionals and institutionals, and they probably use it to hedge themselves or trade options. Every retail trader should not be using leverage, in my opinion, as 95% won't make money trading without. So why would you use leverage? Okay, maybe there's a small portion who will make a few million through a few trades, and then they lose it all again because of greed or emotions. So I won't be promoting these leverage trading platforms as they are not beneficial for the market. And the problem is that there's also all these scam wicks or like these heavy drop downs, just liquidating your position. That's caused by all these leveraged sized trades. And the whole clue in trading is that it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you should actually compound your profits through a decent risk management rather than using leverage to get there as well. It's just a long way instead of a sprint.
You spoke earlier that you were a student of economics. Do you think that gives you an upper hand in the market to understand economics, to understand numbers, I guess?
Yeah, on a macro level, I guess it is. But it also understand it. The fun part is I didn't really like my study until I got touched with Bitcoin, and then I started to realize how bad our system is. And the more you get into it, the more you start to understand that our system is going to end soon. That's what I feel like. The US dollar is not looking really well. But it gives me a certain edge in which I realize how markets work. And if you are a plumber or someone with no background, that's also one step behind. So understanding the macroeconomics to a certain degree helps you in understanding how cycles work. But TA is just everybody can learn TA. That's a whole different game.
Yeah, it's interesting. I posted earlier about cycles and how I feel like it's unavoidable sometimes. Just like you look at markets and they say history doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes. That's what they say. I think it's Mark Twain who said that. You see it in the market. That's why you can see repeated patterns over time. And that's why you can trade. You can trade based on the pattern system. I feel kind of the world is going through a cycle, whether we like it or not, whether we want to support this side or not. I see this as a cycle, and it definitely linked to economics, suppression of currencies, and printing money, and that there could be an explosive move to the upside or downside. Who knows? Probably to the downside. But yeah, I guess what's your view on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for the future? You talked about the macro. What's your macro picture for Bitcoin and crypto coming up?
It's really difficult to like look 5 or 10 years ahead because Bitcoin is just a startup basically still, and crypto is just a startup. However, it got some very interesting variables that could be beneficial in the coming years, as I truly believe that the US dollar is going to fail in which people seek for different currencies. So whether it's going to be Chinese yuan or whether it's going to be they fly to gold or silver, Bitcoin is one of the categories that I truly believe so that could benefit from an economic downturn, unfortunately. So that's why I'm also a big believer of Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes up, crypto goes up, and we get the DeFi everyone wants, and just a big hype bubble like the .com, which is probably the same. It's just history repeating each other. That's why we also see many similarities with the 1930s. It's just the same as then. And if you go back further in history, in the 1600s, the exact same system occurred in which there is an infinite amount of supply of money going to the markets, usually ends in war. And then the whole system is just destroyed. So it's just coming back each 100 or 150 years. And in this case, I think Bitcoin will be doing fairly well. It can still go down if it's banned, but like you can't ban Bitcoin.
Yeah, I get it. No, and it's interesting because it's not just yourself. I mean, big money now is looking at Bitcoin. You've seen Bloomberg with a report. They've had 2 reports actually saying that Bitcoin, they would be very surprised that it doesn't go to 20,000 by the end of the year. You have institutional investment, Paul Tudor Jones, allocating 2% of Tudor Investment Corporation's investment funds into Bitcoin. Even wrote a white paper. So he
Even made his own ICO.
Yeah, he's in his own ICO, man. It's coming out like in Malta or somewhere. Yeah. That would be funny. Yeah. It's limited supply. It's gonna moon, man.
That's the next 100x.
Yeah, I'm in on it. Right. I'm pre-mining it. Pre-sale group. So no, he's allocating 2% of his fund into Bitcoin. Wrote a note to all his investors saying how, you know, there's 9 assets that can move again in times of crisis, that can go up, but he really concentrated on Bitcoin. And so I mean, if big money's into it, you know, it is looking good for the foreseeable future. It does seem programmed to pump in some ways. Okay, getting away from that, I want to know about your philosophy, right? Because I think philosophy coming into the markets is an important thing. What's your philosophy in regards to the markets and your psychology, and how can that make you a better trader?
Well, I try to cut out all the noise, so I just don't read too much on Twitter. That's step one. And going into the markets, my idea is that I don't really care where the markets are moving. In the end, it's all about my own portfolio. So if the markets go up and I can trade through that, all fine. If it goes down, all fine. I don't really care where it goes, I just trade, because in the end, I have to pay my own bills through my own portfolio. So I don't have a bias. I don't try to get emotions involved in the markets. And I just stick to the plan that I have through discipline and through experience. I mean, all the time I've started with using very complicated TA stuff like Elliott waves and Ishimoku clouds and whatever and whatnot there's available. In the end, it's just price action and support resistance flips, which makes it very basic. So I just try to keep it neutral. Don't have a bias at all. And then you'll be fine. Yes, you will be wrong, but in the end, you'll be fine.
And how about your screen time?
The hours I spent behind the charts.
Yeah.
Well, I'm writing articles on Coin Telegraph and doing stuff on YouTube and Twitter and have my own group. So I basically work around 10 to 12 hours a day. So I'm constantly behind the screens. However, my trades, I've not touched any trade in the past week at all.
Wow.
So I'm just sticking to the plan that I have.
Do you think that's why a lot of people fail? They can't stick to a plan?
It's one of them. Overtrading is one of them. They feel like they have to be in a trade all the time, while not trading is also trading. And overanalyzing is also one of the problems. Like, everybody wants to get information all the time, while no information is also information. And you don't need all the information, as it's just 99% noise. So yeah, decreasing all that stuff and you will be better off at all. And evaluating.
Yeah, and I also understand that undercapitalization is a problem. So if you don't have enough capital, your 1% that you're supposed to be trading with, or 0.5%, or even 2, whatever it is, whatever your risk management is per trade, it doesn't give you that dopamine hit, that kind of like buzz, like I'm making money.
Yeah, but the problem is that it's not about the size of your trades. It's about the percentages that you make. So if you put $1,000 on a trade, you should have the same system as with 100K, as it's all about the percentages and compounding the profits. However, here, your mental state will be different if you trade with 1K or 100K. And that's the whole problem and the issue people have. If they get from one level to the next one, they trade with the money they don't really had in the past, and then it goes wrong. So balanced here should be pretty much the goal, I guess.
Do you know what? That's absolutely right, because you're fighting yourself. You're fighting greed. You're fighting fear. You're fighting, like the invisible enemy. It's yourself. You are literally fighting yourself. How do you eliminate yourself? Or do you think it's just a natural thing? Or is it possible to control your fear, control your greed, control your mind to a greater or lesser extent?
I think it's really difficult, but like if you fail, you will start to adapt. So if you just lose like 70% of your money or just go bankrupt, these are the moments that will define yourself in the years after. So just fall apart, and then at some point you don't really care with what you're trading. It's just about the trades you make. And in the end, it's the goal that I just don't want to go back to where I was with losing a serious amount of money. So I'm going to defend myself even more. And if I go back to where I was with losing an amount of money, I just repeat again until I won't be fading. So yeah, basically that, I guess.
Interesting. And a quick word on using bots and AI. So that's another way to eliminate this, or people think it's a way that they can eliminate their human character defects, shall we call them. So I was contacted by a company last week who wanted me to use their product, which was a bot that you can use to buy and sell on Binance and on Bybit and whatever else. But even then, I was a little bit like, God, what's your views on artificial intelligence and bots being used in the market?
Algorithms and stuff like.
Yeah.
At first, I didn't really like them, but right now I'm also working with a few of them, and I start to feel like it's a great opportunity to have passive income. And the problem is that your mind doesn't have all the data they have, so they can go back 50, 100 years in time and still have all data right now and cut the emotions. So I think it's a good addition to trading. However, through manual trading, you can still beat these algos. It's still possible. So I think it's good, actually.
I agree. In some ways, yes. Still not sure for somebody who is. I'm a real gambler, like a bad one as well. So I mean, for me, like I say, I'm only doing this because I'm trying to pick the minds of the best in the industry, and hopefully, if I can save people some money along the way, my work is done. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Lastly, yeah, mental health. So again, I'll be honest with you. Since I have stopped trading, i.e., gambling, my mental health has gone up. Like I swear to God, I've got so much more space for stuff. I'm generally, I don't know why. When I was constantly in a trade or constantly working, and I had things, on Binance and whatever else. I had so many exchanges I was in. I was at work, but I had this seriousness all the time. Like I was just like since I put it down, I have my crypto in a wallet. That's all I do now, and I'm going to average in dollar cost average, like I should have done from the very beginning. I'll be so well off by now. Yeah, I guess mental health. My mental health has actually gone up, and I've got time for other things. I just feel better. Even my tweets and things like that, when I do them, are a little bit cleaner. I haven't got as much skin in the game anymore. How do you manage your mental health? How do you how do you keep that good attitude and that clean positivity?
Well, first of all, I don't trade with the majority of my money. Like my trading account is around 10 to 15% of my total wealth. So that's already first step. I mean, if I lose some money, it's not the end of the world. I try to work out 5 days a week. I just don't read anything on Twitter at all right now, as it's just noise. And I just stick to my own plan and to my own rhythm. So like the daily schedule is the same, getting that going, working out, reading books, trying to improve myself. And in the end, it's numbers. And if I make profits with the trading stack, it just goes to my long-term portfolio. So the actual money I will be making through the long-term portfolio, and the trading is just for the survival. So that's it would not change my life if I lose a couple of trades, or if I win some of these trades. The long-term investment, that's what's going to change my life.
Okay. Well, listen, thanks for coming on today. We've run out of time, but where can we find you, Michael? And where can we find you on YouTube, etc., stuff like that?
Both on Twitter and YouTube, you can find me through @CryptoMichael, which is pretty easy. And on Coin Telegraph, you can find me under the market analysis section, where I write 3 times a week.
Wow.
So yes,
that's really cool. Go on.
Yes,
I like that. I should have known that.
It's fine. It's fine. All right. Thank you, man.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Michael. Take care.